It does go down to the 3. It's confirmed. 112-111. The Wolves with a 1-point lead. They've got possession. 1:13 left to play in the game. Can Ant deliver? He's got it up top against Jamal Murray. They run a double at him. Now to DiVincenzo. Deep 3 at the angle. DiVincenzo knocks down the biggest shot of the night.
Timberwolves beat the Denver Nuggets late last night. That series is tied at 1, and Game 3 is Thursday night at Target Center. Joining us now, as he's wont to do weekly, is Chris Finch, head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, courtesy of Second Harvest Heartland, 2harvest.org, and Prize Picks. Chris, is it easy to sleep after exciting wins like last night?
No. It's not easy to sleep after exciting wins or painful losses like we had on Saturday. It's, particularly when you have a real late tip-off and, you got a lot of adrenaline surging through your body. It takes a long time to come down from the game like that, and you never really settle in afterwards, to be quite honest, PA.
And I've been to Ball Arena for Nuggets and or Avalanche games, and it's a loud place. I mean, that is a terrific sports market with 4 pro sports teams. Viewing it from afar, it seemed louder than normal last night. I don't know. I mean, maybe they were all lubed up because it was a later game, but was it like? Was it one of the louder Denver atmospheres that you've heard last night?
For sure, no doubt about it. As this rivalry intensifies year on year and game after game, you can feel it. You can feel it in the building. You feel it on the floor, and certainly, the crowd is bringing it too. One thing I'd like to say though, whenever we play out here, Pia, we have a lot of Wolves fans in the building, and you can hear them too, and they come in numbers and they're super supportive, and and it's great because you can feel it. And we've had a lot of really good wins here, and it's been nice to share it with our fans that have been turning up all over the league in numbers for us over the last few years. So we appreciate that support.
So it's like that in the postseason too, because those tickets are more expensive. They're harder to get. You obviously are dealing with flights, quick in, quick out, stuff like that. That game that I was at, where I saw you in early March, there were a lot of Wolves fans there, but that was a Sunday matinee in the regular season. So you're saying in the postseason, still a lot of Wolves fans are traveling well.
Yeah, absolutely. Or, there's a lot of, I think, transplants living here in Denver, too, that come out. I mean, admittedly, there was probably more Wolves fans at Game 1, with it being the afternoon game on a Saturday and, not a school night, if you will. And saw lots of families who had come out from Minnesota. And last night, maybe not the same amount, but still, recognizable amount. And
that's great.
Like I said, I've had a number of people who have come up to me around the city here over my time in Denver when we've been out here playing, who are from Minnesota but moved to Denver and, are still passionate Minnesota fans, whether it be, Vikings, Twins, it doesn't matter. They're still following their home team sports.
That's awesome. I have a low key MVP for you guys from last night, because we're going to talk about Rudy, and I just thought he's 2 for 2. He was fantastic last night. Nas jumped to life. Dante's 2 for 2 in my estimation with these games. A lot about which to chat, but your sports performance team and medical staff gets the low key MVP award from last night for me, and here's why. Your guys were in better shape than theirs. That was apparent. Is that a fair assessment?
Well, we have an unbelievable performance team, and whether it's taking care of our guys, like getting rested and recovered down the stretch. We talked about it last time I was on, PA, just like having the certainty of being in the playoffs and being able to use those 10 days, strategically to get ourselves right, to get our bodies right, to get some guys fresh, to get some guys back in a rhythm. Anthony, get him confident with where he was at and in shape. And, we still feel he's got more to come there. But his performance last night was inspirational with, what he's been dealing with. And, Julius, was rusty in Game 1 as expected after being off, but he was, I thought he was the key last night in many ways, just kept us in it early when not much else was going on, and he was a handful. He was back to being his best self, driving, creating, rebounding, pushing, all that stuff, and then playing with great physicality, which, the playoffs demand. So, and we just, we got a bunch of guys that we can throw at them to try to make them miss and wear them down. And it's always been something we've been able to do, with our depth now. And, all credit to those guys, and to your point, to the sports performance team, to have these guys ready, at this point in time.
And it's good to have that extra day, I would imagine, up to the Thursday game for Anthony's knee. It just in watching him in the first two games, it seems like sometimes it's feeling okay, and other times it's bugging him. And that's the last thing you want, is for it to be on his mind, right?
Yeah, I think, listen, I think you hit it on the head. I mean, it's one of those things that, random movements will create random reactions, and you just never know. Fortunately, he's been able to kind of get comfortable with that uncomfortableness, if you will, and realize that, he's gaining confidence through it. And that's just what it is right now at this point in time. And so that's a mindset thing. Anyone who's come back from any sort of injury and then try to play or do anything at a high level or put your body under stress, you really know it's all about your confidence in your body. That's the most important thing.
After game one, composure was a big word by you and some others. From a composure standpoint, specifically when you got down 19. I mean, nobody prefers to be down 19, but nevertheless, nobody thought they were going to get as tired as they got either in the final 4 minutes. From a composure standpoint, what changed games 1 to 2?
Well, just talking about it, and just addressing it, and realizing that it's not, at this point in time where we are, it's not going to be a talent differential. It's not going to be an experience thing. It's going to be a composure thing. It's going to be an execution thing. It's going to be a make the right play thing. Like it's just, we didn't do that. We didn't do ourselves any favors on Saturday. I thought we blew a very winnable game, and largely because we went off script too much.
Yep.
And then we got frustrated. We created our own headache, and we got frustrated with that, and then we took it out in the wrong manner, and it was costly basketball. And we just talked about it. We realized that that's not going to help us. We got to stay more on an even keel. Certainly want to play with a lot of passion and moxie, but you gotta stay on an even keel. And I thought last night was a masterclass in the first half. Everything was going against us. We looked a step slow. We were fouling the 3-point shooters. I've never seen a barrage like that before. And I looked up and we were down 8. And I'm like, hey man, we're right where we need to be. Nobody panicked. Leadership in the huddle was awesome, particularly from Anthony leading the way there. Julius was focused. He kind of took the team on his shoulders for a little bit until we could find a rhythm. Once we caught a rhythm, I think guys started getting confidence in what we needed to do to win.
When the composure's where you require it to be, and they mostly run the plays, that led to the ball movement last night just being so much better compared to Saturday, right?
100%. And that begins and ends largely with Anthony, reading the floor, trusting the right play. Admittedly, we had talked about it. He was coming back, trying to find his own rhythm. And that's what kind of happened in the second half of game 1. He was trying to get himself going, wanted to feel like he could, hit the turbo button at any point in time. And, it's just hard. Since he's been out for several weeks, now he's coming out playing playoff basketball. He's facing double teams everywhere. And the thing I love about Anthony is that he's unfazed by it all. But, he kind of took us out of rhythm a little bit, took himself out of rhythm and made life hard for himself in a very challenging circumstance to start with. And he kind of ran out of gas, and then we kind of ran out of gas. And then, we then made a bunch of emotional plays after that didn't serve us well. So, And that's, as we talked about, that's a recognition of it. And it all came from a really good place, and we need Ant to be Ant. But it was probably just ill-timed, if you will.
Well, and you guys, you Mike and the staff, I think you guys made a very underrated key move that helped the team win the game last night. And here's what I mean. It's when you pulled Anthony for Kyle Anderson with like 3 minutes to go in the third quarter, and you didn't bring him back until 8:52 to go. So then you get the between quarters breaks and the normal breaks, man. That was like 12 to 15 minutes of real lifetime. That was a long break he needed, in my estimation, and it helped. Is that accurate?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think ideally I was going to come, well, not ideally. Ideally it worked out perfectly, but in my mind I was going to come back with him a little bit early, maybe even start the fourth. But we had finished pretty strong with that lineup. Bones was kind of had a little run going. Yep. And so I was like, okay, let's just roll with this and keep these guys down as long as we possibly can. And that's what, having a deep team can do for you. And we don't try to script ourselves into too many things. We like to feel the game and what it needs. And so, sometimes, it's what it doesn't need, and Anthony needed the rest, and he had logged a lot of minutes up until that point. He still ended up playing over 40. And so he had logged a lot of minutes up until that point. So it was great. And his teammates really picked him up.
You mentioned Bones. How eye-opening, Chris, is all of this for Bones Highland and Ayu Dosunmu? And what I mean is, you couldn't play Bones in the first game because it just seemed too big. You played him 5 minutes. And last night you doubled his minutes and he hit key shots and 3-3-pointers. And Ayu had just a handful of playoff games with Chicago. Wolves in Denver is different, man, than what he saw in Chicago. They're progressing as the series rolls on, right? But it's eye-opening.
Yeah, it's what you want. Listen, I mean, Bones, this is an emotional series for him. This is where he started. I think there's still, a little bit of hard feelings by how it ended for him here. So he wants to take it personally. The first game, I didn't do a good job with rotations. We got caught like in between a long run, and the timeouts were taken already, and it's one of those things that I kind of reacted late. And then was chasing it for a little bit. And in Bones, he had a tough matchup with some of the runs out there, but he competed his tail off as he always does. And had I gone back and done it, I would have done it differently. But both him and Io, they're growing into the series. As you said, he got their feet wet. I knew I was going to be fine and Bones will be fine. You could sense when game one was started and Io goes in, he was just a little tentative, like where was the downhill attacks? Where was the open court play? He was kind of had his foot on the brake. And we talked about that. You got to go, man. Like, do you. Like, keep doing you.
Yeah.
And those guys, I think, are, really enjoying it. But you're right. It's a very different animal than what he experienced as a rookie with Chicago.
Gobert is on an absolute mission. Holy cow. And he's determined to not be stopped. And I mean offensively and defensively. His box score from last night shortchanges the difference he made in that game, right?
100%. I mean, his defense has been outstanding. And, it's been much talked about, really. But, the offensive rebound putback dunk he gets over Jokic, just out battling him at a point where we absolutely needed those 2 points. That was huge. I mean, that was as much of a play of the game as anything else for me. With regards to Rudy, he's been locked in. And, he's taken his defensive player of the year snub personally. And Rudy's always at his best. When people are doubting him and questioning him or criticizing him, and when he feels he has something to prove. He's a really prideful athlete in person, and and he's motivated by that. And he's been that way his whole life. You can tell, kind of as a late drafted guy. That's why he wears number 27. Reminds him that he should have gone early. Remind everyone that he should have gone earlier in the draft. So you want those types of guys on your team.
Well, it's utterly ridiculous that Rudy Gobert is not a top 3 finalist for Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, he doesn't have to win. He can even run second or third, but how's he not part of the top 3? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's odd. I'm not sure what metrics they looked at, which one they valued more than others, but, I made my feelings known on that last night, but we didn't help him. We had mixed results coming down the stretch. Had we finished a little stronger, won 50-plus games, maybe been in a top 4 seed, then I think his case may have been a little more quote-unquote obvious to the voters. But when you look at the numbers, they're super impressive.
Chris Finch, head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, courtesy of Second Harvest Heartland, 2harvest.org, and Prize Picks. A couple of quickies to close here. DiVincenzo was a plus 20 and last night and has been wonderful the first 2 games. What are you liking about his overall game?
He's just hardwired tough. That's what you need in the playoffs. He's not afraid to put his nose anywhere. He's a ball hawk. He rebounds out of his area, he pursues in the air. He's got great athleticism. He's locked in on his shooting right now. So that's really, kind of building his confidence because he's seen the ball go in at a high rate, and he's unafraid of any moment or anything or any shot.
Right.
And so, he's really benefiting from good offensive flow, but mostly it's just putting the work in, man, all the time. Like he competes on every second of every play, and that's what you need in the playoffs.
An angry Naz Reid was a game-changing Naz Reid last night. I mean, he played with a fury, and he snatched 9 rebounds. Yeah. A rebounding Naz Reid is the best Naz you can have, right?
There's no doubt about it. I thought what was key in our comeback from the 19-point deficit early on was Naz's rebounding. We were making a miss, and he was getting stuff in a crowd, like 50-50 balls that were being, volleyballed around in a crowd, and he was coming up with them. He was getting, his hands on a ton of stuff. And then he played, a 4 or 5 minutes first right there in the third or fourth quarter. I can't remember what. I think it was the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And it was some of the best basketball he's played all season, maybe ever. Both sides of the ball. He was fighting Jokic. Jokic was getting the better of him in the post, as you would expect with the size mismatch, but he didn't let it deter him. He stayed in the game mentally, and he was, super aggressive, getting it to his spots in the paint. So,
lastly, Coach, are you going to make him shoot free throws at practice after missing 11 last night?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a little bit of a problem for us all season, but the third quarter, I think we missed 10 in the third quarter.
Yep.
And we missed a bunch of layups too. I thought we played well enough to have a 10-point lead at the end of the third quarter, but it's just some of our finishing it wasn't there, and our free throw obviously weren't there. But we did a lot of really good things to earn both, and we got to keep doing that.
Safe travels, safe flight back. I'll see you later this week. Congratulations.
I appreciate it, PA. Thank you.
Yep, see you. Chris Finch, head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Thanks to Prize Picks, Second Harvest Heartland, and 2harvest.org. To football, we break from the forechecking and front court folly of it all and mix in football with Ben Goessling from the Star Tribune next.
The Fan.
Just a heads up, May 25th through the 28th, I'm hosting a guided walleye fishing party at Ballard's Resort, ballardsresort.com. Been up there. It's an amazing spot, and it's 3 days lodging, 2 days elite guided walleye fishing. And I'll be up there. We're going to be hanging out, catching fish, eating fish, and having a party at Ballard's Resort. All the information you can get at ballardsresort.com. You'll see a KFAN link. Come join us and set the hook at Ballard's Resort.
A break from the storm of 1-1 series with the Wild and the Stars and the Timberwolves and the Nuggets. Thank you, Finchy, for the elongated chat. And we're going to do some draft dissecting and plunge in on the purple with Ben Goessling of the Star Tribune, startribune.com, at Ben Goessling via X. Follow him if you are so inclined, as 9 to noon does. And don't forget about the Access Vikings podcast. I believe we had one anew yesterday.
Yep.
I saw Emily tweeted about it, and they did it from the facility, Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. So you can learn more about that via Ben's Twitter page. And then, of course, there's the ever-controversial newsletter that drops weekly or thereabouts. What makes this draft for the Minnesota Vikings of utmost importance? Or am I overstating it? It's just another draft. You need to do well in all your drafts. But the closer we get to it, the more I'm starting to feel, wow, this is a really, really important draft for this regime.
Yes, I would agree with that. I think it's important for the regime, and obviously what regime means is in a bit of a fluid state given the fact that they have to hire a GM after this. But overall, if you look at it, they just have not hit on drafts in a long time. In fact, I looked this up this week, wrote about it yesterday. The 2015 draft, which was a home run by, I think, every account, Trey Waynes, Eric Kendricks, Danielle Hunter, Stephon Diggs, Michael Pruitt, who had like a 10-year career, bounced around a little bit, but that draft, I think, produced 4 players who started at least 3 years for the Vikings. And I had this nugget in my story today. When I say started, I mean started a majority of games for the team for at least 3 years. 2015 had 4 of those. Since then, in the 10 drafts since then, by my count, they've had 7 in all of that time. So, in other words, you're just not getting players out of drafts that are either starters regularly or, stepping into extended stretches as starters where they're having to contribute quite a bit. I mean, you have the obvious ones in that time. It's Dalvin Cook, it's Brian O'Neill, Garrett Bradbury, I think, met that definition. Josh Metellus actually kind of got there on a sneaky backdoor cover, I suppose. Justin Jefferson, of course. And
it's just weird hearing you talk like that.
Did I use that right?
No, you did.
Okay, great. I kind of stumbled into it, but it's not usually where I go, but sure, we'll go with it.
Correct. I mean, it was not of the vibe. It was not of the square variety. No. It was of the whale variety, and those in the 702 understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. I would definitely be more of the whale. That is, I don't have enough money to be the whale, but anyway. Jefferson, Darisaw would round that list out. So they've hit on some of those and hit on guys high in the draft, but you have not had drafts where multiple players come out of it. So I do think they need to hit on one to that degree. I think the fact that they've had cap issues is certainly tied to the lack of controllable young talent that comes out of the draft. I mean, Rob Brzezinski yesterday said it's the lifeblood of what you do. So yes, I think for all of those reasons and the fact that they have 4 top 100 picks for the first time, I think since 2022, which that didn't go well. And then 2021, of course, did not produce much after Darisaw, not particularly in the words of Mike Zimmer. They need one that's going to hit. They need a draft where you're going to get multiple players out of it that help them over the next couple of years, but probably in the relatively short term. So, yes, I do think it's a more important draft because of a lot of those facts of their recent history. And I think it's one that they really need to hit on and find some solid contributors.
Did you, and if you did and I missed it, I apologize. Did you drop the yearly Vikings mock?
That will come out tomorrow.
That's tomorrow.
Yes.
So it's already done.
It is 98% done. What I typically do
help us out a little bit here, brother.
Yeah. So
18 Thieneman. Who after that?
I was trading up to 4.
There is a trade.
Wait, 1 year you did. That's right for the Anthony Richardson.
I think it was like 7 or 8 or something. But yes, I have a trade. I think a day 2 in there, but I need to. The tricky thing is, so I'll typically, we've used this format for a while, and it does. I'll admit it's a bit of a counterbalance because I can make trades in there, but I'm also like, okay. So I have a length limit, and what I typically will do is write who I think they're going to take, and then a couple other players they could consider. So there's 3 players times however many picks they have.
Yeah.
So Right now it's 9, so I'm running up 27 players. And then if I would trade back and do like a Rick Spielman type draft where it's 12 or 15 picks, it's like, that's a lot of space.
Yeah,
and
you got to write about 8 7th rounders.
Yes, and it's not just the 7th rounders. It's here's the guys they could take but won't. So we're into that stretch of the 7th round at this point. I think I have 2 players left to write up.
That's a lot.
And then we'll file it, and then I'm sure my editors will say, this is too long. We need to cut some of it, which is usually the dance I have with them. Now,
but hopefully they know where to cut.
Yeah.
Because if it's a mock, you can't cut any of the picks.
No, you just have to make it a little tighter. And I've written it pretty tight, but yeah, it's different than last year when they had, I think they went in with 4. It's like, okay, I can take out some guardrail on this if I want to. This year I had to write a little tighter. So
let me ask you this, because a couple of weeks ago with before all the hockey and basketball playoffs began, bouncing around draft topics and chatting about what it would take if you have adoration for Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love.
Yeah.
And say you wanted to go up to 4. Say you wanted to go up to 5. So then, I go searching for that age-old draft chart, all right, the Jimmy Johnson draft chart.
Yep.
Well, some of the numbers have been updated a little bit, Draft Tech, or just
there's a couple different ones.
Yeah, but they're still pretty close.
Yep.
So, like, when you do Star Tribune, StarTribune.com trades, do you put the draft chart in play?
I do, yeah. I'll typically go and say, I'll put in, there's a couple different calculators out there. I think Over the Cap has one. So I'll typically go in and try to do, okay, how close is this? Would this be something that both teams would actually agree to? I don't want to go and say, hey, they're going to trade 18 and their 7th round pick for 4. And then, the people are going to be like, yeah, sure. I mean, so we're not trying to do that.
Deal.
We're trying, it would be great, but it would not be realistic. So I try to keep it as I do use the trade charts and say, if this is a modest, I think the one trade I made, the Vikings won it by, it was a couple dozen points or something like that.
Did.
So it was relatively
Apple Valley child go crazy. Of course they did.
It's you try to make them relatively fair and something that people would actually agree to. So you're trying to figure all that stuff out. But it adds a little bit of a different wrinkle to it. It's kind of fun.
Like the one I did that involved Jeremiah Love.
Yeah.
I think it went up to 4 or something like that. And it involved the pick swap.
Yeah.
And next year's first.
Okay.
But see, then, just messing around because I'm a Jonathan Grenard guy.
Yeah.
And I want him on the team this year.
Yep.
And other people are compensated to deal with the money.
Yeah.
I'm the announcer. And I like Jonathan Grenard on the team like a lot of fans do.
Yeah.
Why? Because he's really, really good.
Yeah.
But I'm like, well, if you want to ease these picks and everything and ease the financial burden of it, well, you put him in. But then you have to formulate the opinion of what number is he?
Yeah.
Where does he fall in the Jimmy Johnson? So I made him like a 3rd rounder, high 2nd, early 3rd to add those points up and everything. But I mean, it was a lot if you put Grenard in a deal to get from 18 to 4.
Right.
But it wasn't really as much as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
But see, if I'm the team that's giving you the primo pick, well, then there's a if they say, well, the
convenience charge.
Yeah, all hail Jimmy Johnson, but there's a convenience charge here too, and that's going to be the 6th.
Yep.
So you don't know if people are going to hit you with that.
Yeah, there's that. And then it's also a matter of if you're the team receiving Jonathan Grenard in that example, do you want to sign him to the long-term deal? Because there's a cost element to all these picks where it's the pick is tied to a fixed number on the rookie wage scale. So you can sit there and say, okay, this pick is going to cost us this much over the cap over the next 4 years. And is what we are getting from a veteran player provably more valuable to justify the fact we're going to pay him more than we would pay a player on a rookie contract. So you have to get into some of those things too, of how does this affect our cap and how does the economic value of this player correspond to the economic value of a player who is under a controlled number for at least 4 years and maybe 5 if you have the 1st round pick with the 5th year option.
You watched the whole thing, didn't you? I can tell you stayed up and watched the Wolves game, the whole thing until past midnight. I can tell by your voice.
I was, that's 2 things. It was track meet. My voice is a little scratchy after track meets because I'm usually yelling. I was wild and then into Wolves after that.
Do you watch it on two TVs simultaneously? Because I don't have that option. Nordo does, but he lives in Chaska.
I have the option to do it. I have not. I've done this. Well, no, actually, I don't. I've done the like the YouTube multi-view thing. I did that during the tournament, where it splits it into four things. It's fine, but it's also like, okay.
I just had a laptop going.
Yeah, you could do that
you
too.
Lied. It's not two TVs hung with the cords hidden above a wood-burning fireplace?
No, not yet.
Oh, geez.
Not yet.
Yeah, I'll do the...
I hate watching games on my phone. I won't do it.
Yeah, and even the multi-view thing, it's like, it's a cool concept, but it's like, okay, I'm watching this now on a quarter of my screen, and the sound is only on one of them. So, like, I've done that during March Madness, and I've done it, but then I'm sometimes like, if I'm locked in on one game, I'm just going to do that. I almost miss the old CBS. This is a little bit of a tangent. When the CBS in the 90s, it was where they just bounce around. It was like NFL Red Zone before NFL Red Zone. I almost preferred that at times, but we don't do that anymore, really. But
the Red Zone is sweet.
Yeah, it is.
Well, we don't get a chance to watch it enough because of what we do.
Yes.
But like when I do, I love it.
Yep.
And in fact, MLB Network, and I don't know how long they've been doing this, but like MLB Network does an awesome job bouncing around games like the Red Zone.
Yes, it is cool when people do that, and they've realized attention spans have gotten shorter and all of that. But yeah, whether it's the bye week or... I think there was one game last year I got COVID and I was home that Sunday. It's like, man, okay, so I watched the one game and then I just go Red Zone for the rest of the afternoon. Like, this is kind of great. I mean, I love my job too, but like at whatever point in my life I'm not doing this, like that's not a bad way to spend a Sunday either. But yeah, so I was wild last night. I got together with some friends. Actually, got my pastor has a pretty sweet setup in his basement, so we got together to hang out there, watch the Wild. He's more of a hockey guy than a basketball guy. So then I was Wolves on the radio on the way home from that, and then stayed up to watch the end of it. Watched them pull it off late last night. So yeah, it was a late night.
I went deep diving on some Kyler Murray stuff yesterday, and I'm going to pause now because I want to make sure we get all of this in. Ben Goessling, Vikings beat writer, covers the Minnesota Vikings for the Star Tribune, StarTribune.com. His yearly mock comes out tomorrow.
Yes.
StarTribune.com. For most of you, pick up a copy of the newspaper for the others. But at Ben Goessling via X. Don't miss it. Does a great job with it yearly. Back after this.
The Fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a shot at some bonus bucks with the National Cash Contest. Go to KFAN.com, enter the keyword Bills. The keyword is Bills at KFAN.com.
The Minnesota Vikings never has been called, or at least if he has been, I missed it. Never, and this is not taking a shot, by any stretch. And FIDA, Fairness and Disclaimer Act, you just in the age of rage, you kind of feel like you have to do that. But he's never been called a scholar of the game. Now, I have no idea what study for the game has been like with Kyler Murray the last couple of years. It's FISA, Fairness and Source Act. I know somebody who worked quite closely with him the last couple of years and didn't really have much of a problem with it. So here's the point. What an opportunity it is for Kyler here if he buries himself into all that is new, including his slate.
Yeah.
His, pride goes before the fall, and maybe he doesn't want to talk about the slate, but the slate is clear too for him.
Yeah.
And if he buries his head into this thing and he and O'Connell jibe with the expectations, I mean, this could be really good.
I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see how all of this shakes out. I mean, Justin Jefferson's comments on all of it yesterday, I thought were pretty candid and pretty interesting just to hear where he was coming from on it, as he usually is when he gets in front of a microphone. But yeah, Kyler is, the reputation over the years. I mean, all of the jokes about Call of Duty and the item in the contract that the Cardinals had, and I think they eventually took out of it, have put that reputation. It's kind of been attached to him in a lot of ways because of those things. I mean, you talk to people, and people also talk about how he's got such sharp recall of things that he's been able to, I think, use that to his advantage over the years and feel like maybe he doesn't have to do quite as much because he can just see concepts. I mean, you hear quarterbacks talk about having borderline photographic memories, and you hear people talk about him in that context a little bit. So, he may have used some of that, and there's probably a risk in leaning too much onto those things rather than saying, let me just double check myself and let me prep things a little bit more. But yes, if he leans into it, and that is going to be how they treat the offseason. I mean, we've both been around it long enough with this regime. They're not going to go in OTAs. I mean, I always get asked every year to write something about like, hey, what position battles are you watching in OTAs? Like, these are glorified walkthroughs. I mean, a lot of it is, they'll have some stuff that's a little more up-tempo, but a lot of it is, let's do this at half speed so we can teach and we can correct and we can have the video monitors up so people can see the reps and coach off of those things. It's very much kind of learning and teaching time for them. And I think for a guy like him, that's probably going to be useful. That's what we're going to see a lot of this offseason be used for with him.
Well, here's the approach, at least of late approach with Kyler Murray. The more I learn about him and the more I look at things for which I'm looking. And that's just my personal taste.
Sure.
I'm not watching every single play, but it's the more I watch it is his run by design. Mm-hmm. Okay. His designed run where it's, hey, if 1.5 or 2 are open, by all means. But if not, there's this tentacle to the play where if you take off this way, it's going to be free money. I mean, I don't exactly know how to get there from a play calling standpoint, but I know what I'm talking about, what I'm looking at. He did more of that last year, but this guy's different with the running awareness, the eyes down the field, setting up the next move. It's just different. Here's the question: do you think KO sets him free?
That is going to be very interesting to see, because I don't think Kevin O'Connell historically has been somebody that says, let's turn the running quarterback loose. I mean, I remember that with Josh Dobbs. It's like, okay, if it breaks down and you can pick up a first down with your feet, great. But we don't want that to be necessarily within the progression in the way that we're kind of talking about here. But I thought it was, and I think we've talked about it, but I'll say it again. I thought it's been very interesting the way he has thought about Kyler Murray and answered questions about Kyler Murray in the context of Justin Jefferson. And I asked Jefferson about it yesterday because O'Connell's talked about it, basically saying, when you have a quarterback that moves like Kyler Murray, it makes defenses think differently about what they're going to do everywhere else. If you're going to keep shell coverages and it's going to create more space underneath, Kyler Murray could say, fine. If you want to do that with Justin Jefferson, that means there's one less defender to deal with me. And if you put a spy on me, then while you're playing shell coverage, there's going to be all sorts of space open over the middle of the field. So when O'Connell answered those questions about it, I think in Kyler's introductory press conference, it was one of those things I filed away, because he sounded like a coach who has spent 4 years banging his head into a wall about why can't we find easier ways to get Justin Jefferson open. They're trying to get touches for him, right off the ball. They're trying to motion him, some of those things. But when you have all of these defenses playing him the way that they do, I think they've just said, we've tried everything we can to make it easier. And one of the things we have not had is a quarterback like this that maybe creates some wrinkles that defenses have to deal with. So he sounds intrigued.
It could play into why they drafted J.J. McCarthy. With that combo platter where, let's land the plane on this. With Kyler Murray, because again, the more I learn about his running acumen, and that's whether it's a scramble, whether he has to get, it's a full all-out 5-wide pass play and they're all covered. Or he misses somebody or whatever, and he has to run. It's the awareness. The more I watch, it's, I'm not watching Mike Vick. Lamar's a bully. Josh Allen's a bully.
Right.
It's when you're 5'10", and one of the fastest guys in the league, you got to do it a certain way to make it effective and stay on the field.
Get out of bounds rather than putting your shoulder back into somebody.
That's so key what you just said. Now, consider this. Kyler Murray ran 78 times for Drew Petzing a couple of years ago. Okay, that was the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
He's now the coordinator for the Lions.
Former Vikings assistant.
In that season, Murray played all 17. Vikings quarterbacks ran like 55 times total last year.
Yeah.
McCarthy was like a 37. And the numbers include kneels, scrambles, the whole thing.
Right.
All right, but it's going to be close. So I think if Murray plays all the games for the Minnesota Vikings, he runs around 70 times.
Yeah.
I think it'll be about a 70 because it would be shameful to take away that part of his game. It's kind of an edict or a mandate. Now, the last time the Vikings had a quarterback run 50 or more times via run, scrambles, kneels, or whatever, Darnold in 2024.
Okay. Yeah.
All right around there.
Yep.
The last time they had a quarterback run or take part in all of this 70 or more times, anybody care to venture a guess?
Tavares Jackson?
Nope.
Ponder.
Incorrect.
Farther back than that?
Yes.
Wow.
Randall Cunningham?
Dante?
Culpepper.
Yeah.
Culpepper 70 times. Dante Culpepper in 2004, 84 gallops of some sort.
Yeah.
And by the way, he almost won the MVP that year.
Yeah, he did.
He could throw it. He had Moss. Now, I'm not saying Jefferson is HOF like Moss,
Right.
but he ran. It worked. They won a playoff game. He had a superstar wide receiver.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to put this together a little bit like that. Now, lastly here, Cliff Kingsbury. Kingsbury, when he was head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, he ran Kyler Murray almost 120 times in his second year. So he's rookie of the year, offensive rookie of the year.
Yeah.
In his second year, he runs him about 120 times. He almost had 1,000 yards with 11 touchdowns. But here's the deal. He got hit so much that it didn't necessarily, from what I understand, it didn't impact him necessarily that season that much. But it's interesting that he didn't play a full season after that year for around 4 years because Valor was the better part of Cliff Kingsbury discretion.
Right.
So somewhere between that 50 and that 120 is going to get us to 70. Mm-hmm. Do you think that all sounds right?
Yeah, because, if you think about 70, that's 4 a game, roughly, if he plays every game. So, maybe he's sitting for a game here or there or whatever. It's 4 or 5 times a game. I think if you do that and you're finding ways to end plays without taking hits at the end of it, I think that's feasible, and I think it's enough that if you put it on tape that relatively frequently,
big time,
teams will have to prepare for it, and that means they can't spend as much of their time just sitting there thinking about how do we take number 18 away.
Hey, a lot was made from conversations and Justin Jefferson in particular, the way that he was talking about Kyler, and similarly what he could do in this offense, right? And then, whether it was flippant or calculated, people read into things, kind of the idea JJ needs to step it up, and this will be good for JJ. Otherwise, he's got to take that back seat again. Did you read deeply into those comments from Jefferson, or was it more just he's kind of saying what we've all felt and have been saying? Maybe it was just a little more bluntly than has been discussed prior?
I think it actually was pretty close to the way he's talked about JJ for the last, however many months he's been getting asked about him and what he thinks. He was fairly honest about, hey, he needs to be better and we need this to be done at a higher standard. But it was also, I'm in his corner. I've been working out with him. I'm still trying to find ways to help him get to the point where he's getting me the ball the way that I need to do it. And I can help him be better as a quarterback. So I think there was a lot of, I'm in your corner, but we also have to do this at a higher level, which is very much how he's talked when he's been asked about JJ for, certainly all of last season. I think he was talking about it that way. He was fairly honest about, this is not ideal. This is not something that I want to be doing every year, having a quarterback that's going through this, but it was not said in a way of, I'm done with this kid. It was, I want this to be done better. And I'm also trying to think about how I can help make that happen.
On the Grenard front, while you're putting your mock together and you have the Vikings trading up to get Fernando Mendoza, which I think is really bold for a mock draft, but people will get to see that later this week.
Amazing! It only took a 5 and a 7 to do it.
How much of your time is allocated?
Raiders are suckers, I guess. I don't know.
I'm glad I just spent 7 minutes unpacking Kyler Murray's running.
Well, I was curious in terms of Grenard as the topic changed, the idea that the percentage of your work in this is allocated to what it would look like if he's not here, how alive that is.
Yeah.
You hear a ton of steam outside of the Minnesota Vikings universe, Philly and some other locations talking a lot about Grenard potentially being for sale. You just don't hear any of it locally.
Yeah, I mean, the way they've talked about it, and Rob Brzezinski said it again yesterday that he expects Grenard is going to be here. I think it would take a major offer for them to move on that. I don't think they're walking around calling teams saying, hey, do you want to trade for this guy? I think a lot of it is if somebody came through and said, we want to pay him and we'll give you, probably at least a day 2 pick and, see what else would go into that. I think then it's okay. Then we think about it. But I guess at this point, and maybe I'll be wrong, but I don't think it's likely enough that I wanted to go into a mock draft saying, well, I want to plan for that scenario or put that scenario in a mock draft. Because I think some of that, too, when you do that in a mock draft, and I know all of this stuff reverberates around social media, when you do that, it makes an impression that you better be pretty sure about if you're going to go throw that in there because people will...
I can't believe you care about that.
Well, the reason I care about it is I want people who read things that I write or hear things that I say to say that, okay, he's thought about this thoroughly enough. He's reported it out enough.
I got you.
If he's being cautious, there's probably a reason for that. I generally...
Yeah, my bad.
No, you're good. I think it's a fair question, and I think it's something that's it's an interesting conversation because you do... I mean, everybody has to approach this differently in this job of how cautious am I going to be? And you can say, well, it's just words in a microphone or, pixels on a page or whatever. And
people latch onto it.
But yes, there is that stuff. And I think it has led me to say, let me be a little more discreet and make sure that I'm pretty solid on these things before. Because a mock draft is hypothetical. A mock draft is fun, yes. But people will also read it and say, okay, what signals is this sending about what he might be hearing? So I am mindful of that when I put these things together.
Okay, so lastly, Nordo tomorrow is going to write up the 5 most likely or talked about options for the Vikings at 18.
Yeah.
Thieneman and this. So let's take Thieneman and this, Thieneman and that out of it.
Okay.
Give us 3 since we're going to be up.
Help you out, Ben.
Yeah, we've been up with both sporting events, old people going to bed at 12:30. So help us with 3 here.
Kenyon Sadiq is one I thought about, the tight end from Oregon. I mean, that both him and Eli Sowers, the tight end from Vanderbilt. If you want like a freaky tight end, this is a good year for it.
Right. No, we're talking 18. We need 5 options.
Yeah.
We got Thieneman, we got Sadiq. Who else we have?
I would put Emmanuel McNeil-Warren in there, the safety. If Thieneman is not there, Peter Woods, the defensive tackle from Clemson, I have in my possibilities. The corner, Jermod McCoy from Tennessee, I think would be in there. Okay. Avion Terrell, corner from Clemson.
Excellent.
So
we're good.
I love Terrell.
What about there's an Ohio State defense.
Caden
McDonald.
Yes.
Yep.
He probably would be in there too,
I would put him in there as well, yes. I think all of those guys are possibilities.
Would you say, this is our last chat before the draft.
Yeah.
Trade up. So therefore, we're at 18 and we're going to get up there to 14 to get exactly who we want. A trade up period of 3 spots or more, 7% or less. Or would you say higher?
I would say 7% or less is about right. I think that's pretty unlikely.
Trade back to amass more picks, 3 picks or more. What percentage would you put on that?
A first round deal to get 3 picks or more. I don't think that happens.
To go from 18 to 22 or back.
Yeah, I think that's more likely than moving up. I mean, I think they would like to probably come out of this with a couple more picks, but I also think if they have a player they like, I think the most likely option, and this may be boring, but I think the most likely option for them this year is stick and pick.
Yes.
I think it's good. Let's find a player we want. Let's find a I mean, Rob Brzezinski talked about a cluster of players. If you felt like there's 5 we want and we can move back 3 spots, which means we're still going to get one, then you do that. But I think a lot of it is going to be let's stick and pick the player we want and not overthink it.
Without identifying exactly where, I'll go, Thieneman 18, then Emmett Johnson somewhere, the UCLA corner who keeps telling everybody in the world they love him, and a center on Friday. Then it's Vikings and Falcons in the NFC title game, and you're on your own after
There you
that.
go. Yeah.
Sound good?
Yeah, I think all of that is certainly possible.
You're the best. Get some rest.
Yeah.
Go AVHS distance runners.
We'll be there this afternoon at Egan High School.
And we will see you next week or probably before. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Ben Goessling at Ben Goessling via X covers the Vikings for the Star Tribune, StarTribune.com. And he has his yearly mock draft dropping tomorrow. Make sure you find that. Back after that.